We have reached 20 days without a Speaker of the House. The Constitution says almost nothing about the role. One line mentions the job in Article 1, Section 2, stating the House of Representatives shall choose their Speaker and other officers. The U.S. Government Publishing Office defines the role of the Speaker with three main responsibilities, however: recognizing members who seek to address the House, construing and applying the House rules, and putting the question on matters arising on the floor to a vote. These responsibilities allow the Speaker to block legislation from seeing the House chamber, put his or her own allies in powerful positions like committees, committee chairmen and chairwomen, and it is also the position that effectively directs majority control of the instruments of power in the House. Kevin Kosar joins me now. He's a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute and the host of the Understanding Congress podcast. Kevin, Understanding Congress is something that we're all trying to do at the moment. Let me ask you this. Often when Congress acts slowly or strangely, it's because the government was designed to act slowly. Is this lack of a speaker a catastrophic failure? We've gone totally off the rails? Or is it a certainly notable failure, but nevertheless an expected outcome of a system that's designed the way ours is?
This is not the design, what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a system that is failing at the moment. And whether it's a catastrophic failure, well, that depends on how fast they resolve the situation. We're seeing some forces that are coming together over a long period of time. One is that the GOP has a faction of it within it that actively runs against the party. They call themselves Republicans, but they're anti-Republicans, they're anti-establishment, and they are always kind of at loggerheads with the party. Second thing, declining margins in the chamber, namely the difference between the number of Republicans and Democrats has gotten very, very narrow. And when that happens, all it takes is a few members of the majority to defect, to not follow what their party wants, and kaboom, something bad happens. And we saw that with the vacating of Mr. McCarthy, the Speaker. It's also a time of rising partisanship because the two parties are competing more aggressively than they have since the late 19th century for control of the chamber. So you put these things together along with the crazy media fundraising environment around that encourages performative behavior, and we've got this mess.
A clown show. So the question is, a lot of people will look at it and think that, come to that conclusion, and say, wake me when it's over. But you mentioned three really important things that aren't going to get fixed in an afternoon. And so I wonder what you, looking at this situation, might tell people who care about their government, want it to be the instrument through which we make collective decisions about the most important things in our life, and say, we got to do something to fix it. Where would you put your finger on an answer to somebody who has that concern?
Well, I think the good news is that ultimately the pressures from outside the House of Representatives are going to force members to come together. We've already got the pressure of war breaking out in the Middle East and the House being paralyzed and unable to make policy on that. That war is just not going to go away, and it could get quite a bit worse. So there's that pressure. There's also the pressure that government funding is going to run out in about a month, in which case you're going to have people working for the military, working for border control, working for various places that are extremely important to the GOP, and they're going to go without paychecks. And that's going to, help force action on Capitol Hill. Plus, the GOP doesn't want to look like a running clown show. They're worried about the election next year, so they need to get their act together. So that pressure is also coming to bear.
Kevin, finally, last question. If we could step out of the moment and design a solution to this problem, let's say for a moment, because two of the things that you named, the rising partisanship and those small margins, keep this from happening. But let's imagine somehow they would pause and you had some group of Republicans and some group of Democrats who could come together and create a power sharing agreement and pick some kind of a speaker where you shared powers in a way that would get people to agree. Is there any kind of design that's in your head that might work in such a condition, or some solution, since the current ones of electing a Republican are not happening, that you could imagine, and that sort of people in the middle might agree to?
Well, I think the odds of getting some sort of power sharing agreement are very, very low because the power of the speakers is so great. I mean, this is the person that plays a huge role in raising money for members, plays a huge role in getting his party reelected and getting new members to get elected. This is the traffic cop for what gets voted on, what gets decided as the congressional agenda. And trying to share that power between two parties is going to be really, really difficult. I think it's more probable that what we're going to see is Republicans either get a speaker or they're going to muddle through with the speaker pro tempore.
Kevin Kosar, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.